we are. My goal for today is to stick to the schedule as much as possible, and we are already a little bit late. But the excuse is good coffee, so that's okay. Welcome today at the final conference of European project. New ideas for old buildings, but today's working, or let's say today's title is how oldies can become goldies. And the title resembles something that project partners have been working a lot during this project. Today we will hear a lot of really good cases and even maybe some impressions from yesterday, where project partners visited Maribor, and really nice stories that we are working on here. For the beginning, I would like to welcome Vice Mayor Sasha Pilko, who will welcome us with some words.
Dobro jutro vsem skupaj želim in eno dobrodošlico v Mariboru. Nekaj sem vas že včeraj spoznal, ostale pa danes. Najprej moram povedati, da me veseli, da se ta dogodek dogaja prav v Mariboru, ker mislim, da prav v Mariboru imamo nekaj na to temo za pokazati. Včeraj ste obiskali nekatere naše objekte, ki so nekoč bili oldi, danes so pa lahko rekli goldi, in nekatere smo ponosni in tudi kot mestna občina Maribor in pomagamo s finančnimi sredstvi. Predvsem bom rekel, največji vtis je včeraj name naredil gospod Jonas, ki mi je povedal nekaj, kar morda mi sami niti ne vemo in se ne zavedamo, kakšen biser je v bistvu naš Maribor in da smo lahko na njega ponosni, kar pomeni, kar meni še posebej veliko čast. Tako da upam, da boste lahko kaj dobrega iz Maribora odnesli, da se boste kaj novega naučili in da se boste kmalu spet vrnili v Maribor tudi v kakšni drugi vlogi, mogoče kot turisti, mogoče z vašimi družinami. To je vse, kar vam želim povedati. Želim vam še lep preostanek dneva in hvala, da ste tukaj in dobrodošli v Maribor.
Now proceed with the presentations of project partners that have been involved in the project. And Urban Jericha is the one who is going to lead us through that part.
Thank you very much. Just a few clicks and I will start. Does it work? Hello, I'm Urban Jericha, I come from Ljubljana, and I would like to present to all the guests who don't know much about this project what we have been doing for the past year and a half. So, a project New Ideas for Old Buildings is a project how to improve management of empty buildings that are in public use, that are in public ownership. The context is that in Europe, relatively to the world, is in stagnation. And there are parts in the world that are gaining the population, more than Europe. In Europe, Europe is characterized in small and medium-sized towns also as in decline. And we can recognize decline with empty buildings and some abandoned areas. Maribor is no exception. But also, it is not exception in Slovenia, it is all over Europe. So, here's the map of Europe. With red, you see areas which are gaining population. With blue, you see areas with losing population. And partners in this project, they come from Baltics to the Balkans. That means up there is Latvia. We had which you can see it is mainly blue, except for Riga. We had an excellent workshop in Zesis, a small town. Then we had Oberhausen in Germany, near Netherlands. And then Maribor, Ajdovščina. We had the first conference in Ajdovščina in Slovenia. And then Pula, Belgrade in Nikšić. So this is a a collection of different sized towns, but their common characteristics is that they are relatively in economic and social, let's say, stagnation. So what problems do we want to solve with this project? Public property is often out of reach. There are some obstacles with public administration that cannot be solved very easy. And on the other hand, public is often far from power to influence municipality or public bodies. So the aim of the project is to identify solutions that work. We have been visiting towns all around Europe, and we have identified solutions of different kinds that work. And the other goal is to make a European platform for exchange of practices. So how big is the challenge? In Europe, there are more than 8,000 small and medium-sized towns. We are talking about those towns who are not the most recognized. This is not Berlin, Barcelona, London. No, these are small towns where there is a quarter of urban population living in Europe. And so the 7 before mentioned towns from Baltic to Balkans are part of the town. The project timeline is, the project is structured by the events. And in Maribor, this is our last event, but the project is not ending here. So our first event was in Ajdovščina, and then the last event in Maribor, and the project will end in June 2017. So the theme of this project, New Ideas for All Buildings, is it comes from 6 towns, that is Ajdovščina, Nikšić, Belgrade, Pula, Cesis, Oberhausen, and Maribor. And there are 10 organizations, a few NGOs, let's say Expeditio from Kotor, Kitev from Oberhausen, Ministry of Space from Belgrade, Urban Institute from Riga, Zelena Istra or Green Istria from Pula, NIFOB from Ljubljana, and also municipalities such as Ajdovščina, such as Maribor. We are very happy that we can end the conference here, and also Oberhausen. Thank you. And Nikšić. And of course, it is you that are part of the project, because the public involvement is very important. And so what did we see during this, those projects? In Ajdovščina, this was the beginning, and we focused mainly on the city center with our workshop, and we have proposed some methodology or some processes on how municipality can follow. In Nikšić in Montenegro, there was also one workshop before our project, and there are some challenges which are really big, but also the cooperation between public, civil society and municipality was, let's say, accentuated. In Belgrade, this is a place of some really big ideas with really big problems, let's say. And in the public conference, we have again talked about what are the principles of using available spaces. In Pula, Pula is exceptional city because of historic heritage and also very, very strong civil society. There we joined 2 conferences together, and it was really interesting to hear, to learn from each other. In Cesis, in Latvia, this is a very small town. We have been hosted very warmly, and we have been working on the city center, very specific, and we see that the power of municipality in small cities is really important, and so we see a big potential in also as small towns as Cesis. In Oberhausen, there was a specific topic because Oberhausen is now is, let's say, a city with a lot of problems. It is a poor, but now they have a very big vulnerable groups that are refugees. And so there is a lot of potential in revitalizing old buildings. So this is the entrance to one high-rise, residential high-rise, and we have workshops on the staircases about what is the role of vulnerable groups in the society or in the city. And we ended this. I mean, this was an important part. We joined also 2 conferences together. So together with enormous energy of Kitev, we have been hosted by refugees. So in Maribor, we have yesterday we had a very nice excursion. We saw some very, very dense concentration of public participatory projects. For example, this is Salon, you know it, and this is Impeccable. And today we are expecting to exchange learnings. What have we learned in this project? So thank you for now. And so now we had a brief, let's say, overview what has been in this project. And now I would kindly invite Anna to present what were the learnings in Aidoshina. So please, Anna Kulan.
Thank you, Ivan. Can I sit there?
Yes.
Hello, also on behalf of the municipality of Aidoshina, and thank you all for your participation. I think it's great. And thank you to the municipality of Maribor for hosting us and for organizing this event, and also to NIFOB for helping with the organization. I'm pleased to see such a large audience at our last event, the final conference, in the series of 7 events, like Urban also said. The first event was in Aidosh, and this is our last event within the NIFOB Medias for All Buildings project. I think all the events were successful, that all brought useful, fruitful conclusions, and I'm sure that this one will be successful as well. Now I'll shortly present what we have been doing in Aidoshina in the very first event that was in September last year, and what has changed from then till now. But first, let me just briefly present Aidoshina. Aidoshina lies in the western part of Slovenia. It's about 20 kilometers away from the Italian border. It's a small town with only 7,000 people, and I think you all know it for the fructal juices, or at least you should know it. Over the years, several strong food processing and construction companies have established itself, but unfortunately the crisis struck us very hard, and many of them went bankrupt or into great troubles, which of course impacted Aidoshina and left a great mark. Another important fact that left a great mark on Aidoshina comes from the Roman times. And since Aidoshina was a Roman fortress, and the remains are still visible today, and if they're not visible, they're surely underneath the ground, especially in the city center. And the city center was the focal point of our workshop last year. As in any other town or city in Slovenia, the center of Aidoshina is degraded. The shops moved to the shopping malls and to the suburbs. Population living there is aging and reducing, and the buildings are left empty and even abandoned. And with nothing to do in the city center, people stopped going there. The main square became only a space to park cars, as you can see in the picture. And basically, the Aidoshina city center lost its main function of the town, which is the central meeting point of the citizens. But how do we bring back life to the main square, and how do we make it the main meeting point again? These were all the questions that we dealt with in the workshop and that we're dealing with in the municipality every day. And three things need to be done. We have to renovate the main square. Physical renovation is necessary, as you can see in the picture on the left. We want to close the city for traffic, at least partially. And we want to find attractive contents for citizens, but with their participation. And because this isn't challenging enough, obviously, a civil initiative opposing the closure was established last year. And it consists mostly of people living there and people owning shops and companies there at the main square. And so, how do we tackle all these issues? Step by step, I think. At first, talks with the initiatives, with this initiative were held, where they and the mayor tried to find common ground. But unfortunately, after several meetings, a compromise couldn't be reached and the talks stopped. On the other hand, the revitalization and renovation of the city center, also the closure for traffic, had huge support among the citizens. We did some surveys and also on the social media. And I think that maybe this was a factor, or one of them, that the initiative eventually stopped opposing the closure. Until now, what has been done until now? It has been, a substitute parking lot has been done in the vicinity of the main square. And in the summer, geophysical scans were made to see what's underneath the main square. The scans proved our assumptions that there is something historical underneath. And parallelly to all this, a traffic strategy is being prepared. It's still in the process of preparation. And by the experts that will show, this strategy will show what is the optimal traffic solution for the square. One-way street, complete closure, or something else. And recently, an architectural concourse for renovation of the center was published, and we're looking for ideas how to renovate and what would be the best way for the physical renovation of the center. Also, a tourism strategy was adopted that proposed that all events happening in Ajdovština or in the suburbs, in the town of Ajdovština, move to the main square. So everything will be taking place in the main square. This was done so far, and this is what we have planned to do for the future, near future. We hope that the physical renovation will be finished by summer 2018. That of course depends on the extent of archaeological works, which will begin this month, I think. Yes, this month. But the archaeologists are always unpredictable, so we don't know. Simultaneously, the parking lot will be cancelled, and the people have the option to park in the vicinity, in the new parking lot. The traffic regime proposed by the traffic strategy will be adopted, hopefully in the next year. And the already established culture, sports and other events, like I mentioned before, will be moved to the city center. We also want to move the tourist information center, sorry Sonia, back to the city center, because it's been, I don't know how many, 5-7 years ago, it was moved to the Hishamnarik, where you stay. It's in the suburbs of Ajdovština, but it proved it's not the optimal solution. So we want to move it back to the city center. These are the firm plans we have for now, but we are well aware that the content is most important in revitalizing the city center. But at this moment, we don't have a clear vision, clear idea how we will prepare the content and how we will deliver this. But we know that we have to find it with citizen participation, because only in this way it will become the main meeting point of the town as it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I would now kindly invite Jelena Vujović from Nikšić. Jelena, stage is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Jelena Vujović and I am from Montenegro, from municipality of Nikšić. I will shortly present you one example, one old building that we were discussing during our event and during partners meeting. It's about City Hall in Nikšić, and I didn't make a slide about Nikšić municipality, but shortly it's situated in central part of Montenegro. It's the second city in Montenegro according to population, and the biggest city in Montenegro according to area or territory, even in former Yugoslavia. So the first slide, it's the beginning of implementation of our project. We organized one workshop, preliminary workshop, New Ideas for All Buildings, in November 2015. It was attended by 40 participants, mostly representatives of NGOs, public institutions dealing with culture, participants, representatives of municipal organizations, municipality, agency for projecting and planning, etc. Mostly young people. We were selected 8 old buildings, and the first step was made by architecture from agency for planning and projecting from municipality of Nikšić. This lady shortly presented the technical details about each object, and providing some briefly details about each facility, so participants can make a picture and so they can think a little bit about each object. So after that, they had a few minutes to think about it and to write down their ideas for each object. They put it on, wrote down on these stickers and put it on each photograph. After which we made a SWOT analysis. They had to give some answers on a few questions regarding their ideas about activities that they can implement on that object, what would be results, costs, sustainability of that action, who is going to use this object, and something like that. They wrote down it on one big paper, and after that they made short presentations about each project. about each facility they were discussing about. So this city hall, we collected few ideas for this very object. One of them was a creative center, alternative cultural center, center for family holidays, library, space for multicultural content, cafe, children's center, or Turkish bath. The main conclusions were that citizens' participation is the key to perspective and sustainable solution of empty buildings and spaces. Good cooperation between municipality and NGOs was continued. We also need municipality-led analysis of potentials. It is necessary to encourage citizens to take part in development programs. And also, we presented the results of this workshop on the conference, international conference that we organized within this project. It was held on December 2015. And something about this specific object. City Hall was built in beginning of 20th century. The main issue at that time was health, how to improve that issue, how to improve condition and everyday life in Montenegro at that time, especially after World War I. And few initiatives started at that time on the territory of the whole Montenegro, like opening of public health centers and water facility, utilities and baths, public baths and something like that. So one gentleman that was governor at that time in our town, he bought that parcel and he built this facility. Its primary usage was school polyclinic, and after that it was public health center with public bath. In the meantime, I mean from, let's say, 80s till let's say 10 years ago, it was hunting lodge, wedding chamber, and today it works like press center. The current condition, you can see photos, it's still the same, just with this facility for disabled persons. Its surface is 242 square meters. It works as a press center managed by public institution, public library in Njagaš. This public institution is established by municipality of Nikšić, and its function is promotion, presentations, organization of the different cultural events, and the structure is lobby, mini hall, small cafe, sanitary facilities, nothing special. What we did in project, within this project, infrastructurally, we did nothing, but we have recognized what we have to do. We have to renovate this facility, to make some changes on roof, facade, roof gutters, to adapt one part to a cafe, club or restaurant, to make an info point, and to procure the equipment for multimedia presentations. And also we need to find some solution to bring there new content, which will be self-sustainable, and maybe that will be done by municipality or on its own, or in some kind of public-private partnership, or maybe some third solution we will see. Steps further. The municipality of Nikšić and public institution will start a dialogue with potential investors to find the best solution, which will be in line with the needs of all citizens, young people, especially with those dealing with culture and development of our community. And also we will continue our communication with all interested parties via website, articles, local medias, personal discussions, and something like that. So I would like to say that maybe this example is not the best one, because on this very object we didn't make some differences, some changes on the spot. But additionally, I would like to stress a few more examples, few more buildings that we were changed during implementation of this project. So one of them is one object that was in charge of one small local community in Nikšić. We were talking about that object also during our workshop, and today it's a kindergarten. Also, we were talking about during our workshop. We were talking about army storage facility, and today we are at the final step of preparation of documentation for building of a nursery home. So it's also in line with conclusions from workshop and conference. It is in line with the very needs of our citizens and with their ideas and with everything they share with us during that few days. So if you, I think that I said almost everything, so if you have some questions, I'm here. I will be glad to answer, and thank you for your attention.
Elena, just one question. Did this project open your mind, or you were thinking about this before?
Yes, I can say that we just grabbed the surface, and we started with discussions, with dialogue. We started with we continued. I can say we continued collecting all ideas, but with some objects, I really don't know what will be happen in the future. But I'm glad that a few of them that we have changed during implementation of this project is in line with citizens' very needs and in line with the results of our workshops and let's say activities that were planned within this project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would kindly invite Radomir Lazovic to present us the work in Belgrade.
So this is just a short movie that we did about. Okay. So as as Urban is making this switch to the big screen, I am Radomir from Ministry of Space Collective. We are dealing with advocating for leasing the spaces in public property to the NGOs or other people that need them to and use them. And also I'm the member of the Association of the Independent Cultural Scene of Serbia. And as that association, we have more than 80 numbers across Serbia, and we have a big need of space. One of the researches we did is showing that around 60% of our organizations need space for exhibiting and working, and 40% need the space for offices and everything else to work in them. So one of the spaces that we are advocating for is this Magazin Kulturni Center that is located in Belgrade district of Sava Mala, just near the big project of Belgrade on Water. It is a former warehouse building that was empty for a long time, and in 2007 officials of City of Belgrade decided to in an open call give this space to the organizations that are working in the field of culture. But as it sometimes happens, the government was changed, and the organizations who got the space were left in some sort of a limbo in between the legal procedures and space reconstructions that were promised to them before they entered the space. And so it's 1,000 square meters of space divided into four buildings or areas, and only 2 of them are in usage. It's a central space, has several offices, has a dancing hall with where the rehearsals of theater shows and dancing shows are happening. It has a small do-it-yourself cinema. It also has a big hall for discussions and for exhibitions. It's a big space, and it is really important for the independent cultural scene. Yes, a lot of stuff happens there, and since 2007 it was used as a space where you can go to the people that are working there and ask if you need to use it. But since it wasn't reconstructed and it should have been something else, it should have been done differently, this space was really deteriorating and wasn't really functioning really good. And then, as it happens, the first crisis happened in 2014 when the city officials, actually the middleman in this legal procedure, the Dom Omladine, wanted to kick out the organizations. And in that moment, we got together, the organizations invited the association to help them out because they were part of it anyway. So we started to create some sort of a model that we proposed the city officials, a model that would be based on openness, on availability of the space, on tolerance, on the idea that everybody who is on the scene could use this place, and this could be a resource of the scene, and not only the organizations that got the place that got the space in the first place. And we created a model of the open calendar, so everybody who needs a space can just go on the website and put his name under the certain date and just use it in a way that he feels best. And this created some really live atmosphere in magazine. We were surprised. We just did the statistics of your space usage, and we were really surprised when we saw how much it is used. This year, around 1,000 happenings happen in the space. So it's more than 3 things a day. So mostly this is the rehearsals, but the contribution of these rehearsals is seen in other institutions in Belgrade, because you can get the space to perform, but you need somewhere to rehearse, to prepare it, to try it out. And also numerous exhibitions, meetings, different kind of events that people just needed to do happened there. Just to give you a small comparison, city institution Dom Omladine, which has I don't know how many employees and a big budget and everything, has 1,600 events during the year. So just to be able to compare ourselves with them is a huge success. And magazine doesn't have any employees. It is completely run by the people that are using it for the people that are using it. We have two groups. One is that are working around magazine. One is users themselves are getting together and organizing daily life, and the other group is the group for advocacy that is making meetings with the city officials and Dom Omladine, since we are from 2014 in a state of crisis, and we are always trying not to be evicted and trying to finish this legal status of magazine to get the contracts for the people working there. The latest news from Belgrade is that, and this is maybe interesting for people in Maribor, we have a similar situation in which Dom Omladine was a middleman between city and organizations. Since legally as here, it wasn't, city couldn't give to the organization the space. And after years of not fulfilling their obligations, Dom Omladine just announced that they will return the space to the city. Which means that the organization has to go out and empty the space so the city can do with it maybe the same, but maybe something else. But we will not do it, and now we are just starting the campaign to defend magazine one more time, and I don't know, to try to get the legal status of it fixed. So there is also, I mentioned, there is 4 places of magazine. That central place I was speaking about, some sort of a workshop. And most of the clips in this movie were from this workshop where people are preparing their sculptures or I don't know, everything. And there is one more gallery and one more attic that we will in the next time we will occupy them also. So that is in quick the story about magazine. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Naomi. Helena is very glad that all the presentations were on time, so that we have still our coffee break scheduled accordingly. So now I would kindly ask Irena Burba from Zelena Istra, from Green Istria, to present us what is going on in Pula, Croatia.
Hello, my name is Irena Burba. I come from Green Istria. It's an environmental organization, but also we are a member of Roids Alliance, a network which is based in Community Center Roids, which is the topic that I will present you today. Before maybe some information about the Pula. Pula is the small city in Croatian Istrian County, 60,000 inhabitants, history of 3,000 years. So the army has largely formed the identity of the Pula city, leaving legacy in deposing military infrastructure. And today we have so many empty military buildings which are not used. There is still no concrete plans for utilization of all these properties, which are in mainly state ownership. Today Pula is shifting toward tourism, but the local economy is quite weak, like everywhere else. And all commercially illusory projects that were planned for utilization of all these empty buildings were unsuccessful, and these buildings are still empty. Well, on the other hand, we have a vibrant civil society that is stepping up in social innovations, including managing the premises in public ownership. we think that the most remarkable example is community center Roids. So how to say in just a few minutes the story about Roids, which is quite long. First, this is a huge military building of 17,000 square meters. So imagine this huge building with endless gloomy hallways where you can easily get lost, where historically militants, officers, even refugees lived and worked. And the building was named after World War hero Karl Roids. And then in the 90s it was abandoned. Due to the fact that no one switched off the electricity and the water, artists and associations entered in the building and they began to make a cultural program. They occupied the building. Today the community center Roids is a particular place of civil society, more than 110 NGOs, so it's really imposing. It's really important urban culture center. It's situated in the center of the Pula, and we have many different activities, and that's really something special about this building, because it's not just about the culture, it's also lots of activities in field of sport and recreation, minorities, youth, psychosocial work, environmental protection, etc. We have more than 10 different kinds of groups of activities. But this is not the only thing that is interesting about our center. We have also innovative public civil management model. So together with the city of Pula, which is the owner of the building today, we are managing the center on the basis of the public citizen participation model. And what was most important for us is first to make a strong network of association in the Roids. Because imagine 110 different associations, and then we need to have, you know, really representatives and stand up with in front of the city and to be equal partner in managing of the building. So it was really important, first of all, to make strong network that is Roids Alliance. Today we have coordination body in charge of building management. The committee consists of 3 representatives of Roids Alliance and then 3 representatives from the city of Pula. This model, it's not perfect, so we were years ago even making a study of a better management model that will be a hybrid civil public institution. We see solution in institutionalization of our today's situation. So it's something that we are seeking to manage. So after almost 20 years of community center Roids, like it's today, we have lots of projects and visions of the center that we want to realize. The military architecture of the building, it's really, I don't know how to say, limiting. Yeah, so we need new open spaces for sharing, for meetings. So today we have just one common space, it's living room. And in our future plans, we want to make some new open spaces, like a green roof on the top of the building, then community cafe, hostel, and also we see the opportunity to open social entrepreneurship, so we could even have economical sustainability of the center, and all these projects will be sustainable in ecological sense also, so this is our plan. And Roids Alliance is leading all these projects, so we made lots of place-making workshops, public debates, exhibitions, movie visualization of Roids in future, community do-it-yourself action, so we really want to attract the local community, to connect all the NGOs in the building to cooperate more. So some of other activities that Rhodes Alliance is doing is like web page, then a newspaper, leaflets, brochures, then it's managing also this common space with open calendar, also like in Belgrade. Yearly there is more than 70 programs. There is big production of programs of entire Rhodes regarding the city, more than 7 festivals, 50 concerts, I don't know how many visitors, more than 1,000 visitors per day. So the main goal is to build strong community in the center, but also to include local community and neighbors. If you ask me how it is, you know, to participate in such a model in such a center, it's not easy, because participation processes are sometimes really hard and needs lots of patience, but lots of passion also. So on the end, it's all about the people and a little bit about the building, I think. Next picture, you can see some of our visualization, what Rhodes could be tomorrow. And you also said that for the end, that we say, what is the impact of this project? So, my 8 minutes are gone. So on the conference in Pula in April, we researched and discussed various possibilities for future development of community center Rhodes. And we had opportunity to hear many great cases from all over Europe, from Lisbon, Berlin, Bilbao, Bordeaux, London, Oberhausen, Cesis, Belgrade and Zagreb. So it has helped us to generate new ideas for further development, and I think in general this project was really important for us. We met some really great people, and I hope that we will cooperate also in the future. If you share our vision, our passion, don't hesitate to contact us, or if you have any questions.
Thank you, Irena. After all the presentations, there will be an open debate where all the participants, partners, guests will be invited to ask questions, to compare different towns and cities. So, yeah, thank you, Irena.
Thank you.
Your time limitation was incredible. Now I will kindly ask Martin Schuler and Jonas Bütel, they come from Latvia, from Urban Institute Riga, and from Municipality of Cesis.
Hallo. Hallo. Ah, hallo Jonas. Hallo. So yeah, welcome, and it's a bit weird, the last slide, Irena, to see Cesis among London, Bilbao, Bordeaux, Berlin, Zagreb. Still, I mean, Cesis is a quarter of Pula, or even less, yeah, so maybe a fifth or a sixth, we don't know really. So, yeah, hi, welcome. We are the Latvian group, the ice-cold people from the north. Probably we are not so ice-cold, I hope so. And we have had the honor to host a workshop in Cesis. And I have, for a short while before we are starting, I have to explain that we have had a really impressive meeting in Pula. Impressive most of all also if you see the vicinity. I mean, you just saw the picture. But if you see it yourself, I mean, everybody who hasn't been there, I really, really invite you to go there just to see the place. It's incredible because it's by all means that I've ever heard in my life and seen in my life, and I've really seen a lot. This is the biggest NGO center I've seen. So it's not in London, it's in a small town in the south of Croatia, or East here, sorry, East here. So, and then we move now to CESIS, and CESIS has to be explained in the way that we actually started in the project with the idea to invite another municipality from Latvia, which is actually one-to-one with Pula, kind of the same size, same conditions, military harbor, all of this completely comparable. Meanwhile, as far as I know, also people from Pula have met people from Liepāja independently on another conference, which is very nice and good. But we had, very honestly, we had struggles to also really identify the municipality as to be a cooperative partner. So they were not really very supportive, and they were not really coming back to us. And we understood that this is maybe then not the best partner to really deal in a situation where you really want to bring from bottom up and from top down some kind of cooperation model in order to really strengthen the idea of policy making with what we are doing with abandoned buildings, new ideas for old buildings. And then something happened. I was on an opening of first co-working space in rurality in Latvia, which Dita organized, which was sitting here, and I was so impressed that I saw anyway had very good contact with the municipality of CESIS, and I was so impressed, had a fantastic party, and I thought okay, let's forget Liepāja, let's take in CESIS, and let's go forward with that. And then luckily also Anna and Urban, everybody approved it and understood the situation. So now I have first of all to introduce, so next to me is standing Martins. Hello Martins.
Buenas.
Martins is urban planner, he's the authority,
Official.
Very official, of the city council of CESIS. Then we have still with us Dita Tattenseri, who is representing the co-working space Pula Session, or School number 6 translated, and the very well-known famous artist from Latvia, Kaspars Diagalbes of Total Dobrze, which is actually more a Polish word, so don't misunderstand, this is not really Latvian. So, then, yeah, and I myself, from the Urban Institute, we are the official partner in the project, but we are located somewhere in Riga and somewhere else in the Nordics, so not really allocated clearly. Okay?
Yes, and as only a few of us, of you were in CESIS, I must tell some details about CESIS. It's around 90 km away from Riga, on the eastern part. And official figures of inhabitants for whole municipalities are around 18,000. Well, it's obviously a bit less, but statistics lies. And we are above the average level of working age in Latvia. It's 66%. And the municipality contains of the town of CESIS, a small one, and also the part of the parish. And as you can see, the territory or area and the number of inhabitants are vice versa. So it's CESIS is not a small part in the municipality, but a majority of the inhabitants live in CESIS. So what is CESIS famous for, and what we are aiming for in Latvia, and we state that we are proud of basically two things historically. It's history. This year CESIS celebrates its 810th anniversary. It was a really nice festivities during the whole year and still going on. And this is the one part. And the second part is culture. For such a small town with so few inhabitants, we recently, 2 years ago, the new concert hall was opened, and it really attracts the tourists and people from Riga to come to concerts. And that is one of the key points in CESIS, how to make this cultural life more popular. And in the future, we also are really aiming to have this creative industry sector really active, and we will see it later. So back to you, Jonas.
Yeah, so the basic ideas that we have had for the workshop, we were coming, you need to imagine, we were coming from Pula and having had like 2 conferences switched together. How many participants? We were like 100 or something. It was amazing. And we thought it's necessary, we are very small, everything is very tiny there in Latvia, so we also go like more back inside our, like say, group with some participation of the local planners and some NGOs, in order to go really more, again, like it's some kind of project work at place. So we wanted very much to assist CS's situation in the way that we were mapping, actually, the existing abandoned situation. That was done in a much more successful way as we ever expected, and we were quite happy then to see, and you see behind me what were like the main tasks, but the main task for us was actually to really use with this international project, I think even the first time that it was used internationally for some kind of project with Skola Seshi, was the project partner, to really like bring attention to it, to highlight it, that there is an independent co-working space, an NGO, which is like taking this place and using it and building it out even as a community building process, and to really go out in the historic city center, which again is very comparable to here, to Maribor. It's really interesting, much bigger here, but this kind of impression that the city center leaves on us, like yesterday was this, thank you Martina, was this super impressive program and super tiring program. Like we had 5 or 6 vicinities, we were like walking around just in a radius of 100 meters. And that very much is the density of culture here in Maribor, but it's a similar density actually also in Cesis. So that was what we tried to like aim for, to look where are actually the spots, where are the abandoned buildings and spaces.
Yeah, and you can see the map of Cesis. And it's a picture from the spatial plan of Cesis. And in the center you see the old part of the town. And I must tell you that this area is a cultural monument, it's state protected. So the orange area is territory of cultural monument. And it's really important in the context of this project, because you will see the further step from the municipality will really be affected by this area. And the pink one is the protection zone of this historical center. So, what is the current status in Cesis? We have numerous empty buildings, or half empty buildings in our town. We have a really good practice using the publicly or municipality owned buildings in Cesis. And that's maybe the interesting situation, that we have almost 100% used public space. But we have a really huge problem with empty privately owned spaces and buildings. And there are various examples of that practice. We have also good examples, but mostly it's really hard to deal with the problem.
Yeah, so now, I mean, which is actually partly a little bit comparable to Idovčina, and I think we see very much parallels anyway, because Idovčina and Cesis are probably most matching in this entire project, since both of them are rather small, are a little bit quite rural, and nevertheless have a very big historic value. So this is kind of threatening. I mean, as you said, you make some scans under the markets square, and then you realize, oh shit, we cannot simply tick and start working. We need to, and Cesis is very similar. I mean, it's a complete historic protected area, and you really have to be very careful if you pick one brick and put it to another side. So, just very shortly to explain what has happened already before we started with our project coming in and with NIFOB. First of all, while NIFOB was going on, and we knew each other, but we didn't know each other in terms of that we are like lines in this project, Skola Seshi prepared. Skola Seshi is an institution, actually an NGO, which is set up in a cooperation of civic society and municipality together. Municipality offered the space So it's really a best practice in the terms of showing that also in a small rural town, there can be a municipality active and hand over a building to an NGO in order to start a co-working space. By the way, really in rurality, in all Baltic states, the ever first co-working space. Škola Zeši was, as the name says, a former school, and started acting officially in April, mid-April, end April, you had the opening session. We were using Škola Zeši also as our workshop place. It was very nice. But there is not only one example in Cesis, and that makes it so attractive. There is another example, and that is Rudzka. Rudzka is a former manor, very typical in the Baltic states. You have many manors, and this manor is located quite much in the center of the town nowadays. In old times, it was like more in, how to say, outside the sprawl of urbanity and rurality. And Rudzka is already for many years very, very actively, bless you, actively working as, most of all, as an art residency. This is very important and actually quite famous, meanwhile, also internationally. And Rudzka was then, in this case, also our sleeping place, our place where we had our evenings and so on. I mean, it says this is a small town, there's not much going on, so in the evening you settle yourself around the fire somewhere. Now we have a very sad news, because not all of you probably know it yet, but you see the pictures down here. Just last week, the upper floor of this building, is an old, protected, wooden building, wonderful, burned down. Which is a literal nightmare, you cannot express it different, for civic society, for arts, in culture, in Latvia. But, as you can see, and actually it was consciously done, obviously somebody really lit the fire, throw like some cocktail inside or whatsoever, and it started burning. Half of the building is damaged. And what happened now, this is like, for me, the proof that even in the so-called Cold North, post-Soviet transition society, all of these big blah blahs, you find just a few days later on the last weekend, you find more than 30 volunteers, but professional volunteers, people who really know what they are doing, engineers, firemen, and so on. They were coming and like started to clean up and really like save the space. Because as Dieter said, already in February, they have to start this new program. So let's see how we will manage that. And then we have a third case, which is in process and already serving as a venue sometimes, but it's in process of development, which is a private example. It's an old brewery. We have had that also in our workshop discussion at place. I have to say, we had a very controversial discussion with the owner and the investor who want to change it. But obviously they have a very interested mission and a passionate attitude to take this old brewery, which is immediately located next to the castle, just to understand, it's like very, very local and central, and to change that to a huge privately owned cultural center, was giving another cultural impact. So you see, it's quite similar to Maribor in that case. It's like culture packed all around.
Yes, and then there are all the rest, the quite amount of empty buildings, which are privately owned in a different status. As you can see, it's all in the city center, in the old part. And what we were doing in Cesis, what was the practical work? As Jonas already mentioned, we had quite a practical work, and we developed criteria for mapping the empty or partly empty spaces and buildings in Cesis. After making those criteria clear, we went outside, we divided in 3 groups. Each group covered a certain area of city center. And afterwards, we had discussions how to make those empty spaces as community centers, or what can we do to strengthen this link between local stakeholders and municipality in order to improve the situation and to encourage them to use those empty spaces and let other people to use them. So now the mapping results itself.
So this is our NIFOB work, the work of participants.
And I must admit that we got a really good result in really short term. It was, I would say, a couple of hours, maybe 3. But the municipality hadn't done it before. So we really appreciate your help, and we use you as researchers.
Orban, can you send a bill?
So I will shortly explain. With blue you can see the empty buildings with reconstruction needed. The green ones are partly empty buildings, but they are ready to use. And red ones are the buildings which are empty, but they are ready to use straight away. And only a few buildings, you can see 3 of them, they are in such bad condition that there is no possibility to reconstruct them or reuse them again. So after this workshop, in further thinking, we came up with a solution or further steps, inside steps, and I explained inside steps are the steps which will be taken by municipality. And next year we'll develop the urban policy or action plan which promotes the reusage of empty public and private buildings in Old Town core of Cēsis. And this action plan will be the part of the thematic plan of cultural heritage research of city of Cēsis. And I explain why it's so, because that thematic plan is already set as a goal for the municipality, and many issues are the same in both documents. In both cases you have to talk with the owners of the buildings. In both cases you have to do major research of the current situation, and both plans are intended to improve both usage and also the image of the old town, which is really, really important in fulfilling goals of the city, to be cultural, to be historical, to be pleasant for visitors, and friendly for local people and community. And yeah, a lot of steps have to be taken during this process, and in the end we expect the result. We have to develop the result which helps to improve the situation and leads a certain path towards the solutions. And there's other slide. It's further actions, outside actions.
We have the so-called outside actions also, but I still want to add up on the last slide that it's really important also from our perspective as Urban Institute in a little bit more academic style also, to understand that we are really trying with this project, with the NIFOB project, to aim on being in an urban development process inside with the municipality really developing this policy. So these cases we were talking about are not like the most, I don't know, elaborated, nice, beautiful cases as like Lloyds and so on, but for us it was very important at place to strengthen really also the municipality and to give them something in the hand in order to develop the policy, which is not happening in Latvia very often. Therefore the outside actions, last slide, are very much focusing on the question of how can we actually now transport all of these learnings and these best practices that we have had from all over Europe, and also the best practices of Cēsis, to inside Latvia, to other small towns, middle-sized towns, in order to promote the idea of you can actually get active, you can do sometimes with very easy measures something for the situation of your shrinking communities. And that said, I have to say that nearly all of them are dramatically shrinking in northeastern Europe. It's a tragedy, a serious tragedy. you see what we will do, so we will try to like translate parts of the website, of the NIFOB website, and then all in first half of 2017. And we will actually do a little bit some press release. Kaspers has very good contacts to the media. And then we will try, I think, to do like 1 or 2 seminars also, to invite, together maybe with the Ministry of Regional Development, to invite some municipalities and really like offer this expertise.
Thank you. I didn't make the last slide because it's ongoing process, but thank you everybody, thank you Jonas.
Thank you, Martin and Jonas. Now I would kindly invite Agnieszka Wnuczek and Christoph Stark to present your project or your thought process in Oberhausen, Germany.
With International Forum and Opening of Refuge.
Hello, everybody. What we try to show you in our case is one probably concrete, or we try to focus first. Probably we make it a bit easy. We invite you to bring you at our event what we had in Oberhausen, and we was trying. So the project. The NIFOB was starting 1 year before, at the September, when we was starting with Eidoschina. So during this time, so we were the fourth least, or how you say it, but not the least.
Before the last.
But before the last. So, and we still had worked on this on this topic, and we was trying to take this title, even new ideas for old buildings, really seriously, and to try it out on our local level, how we can improve this on our local level, and if it is possible to do some new ideas for old buildings. And then in September last year, it even happens in Europe here, that in Germany, as well in all of Europe, that we have a lot of new citizens coming in, the refugees in Europe, and we was trying to find out, is it possible to mix this idea, new ideas for old building, with the skills of newcomers not coming in? Can we prove out in some way to try, okay, we have old buildings that they need a kind of upgrade. Can we mix this with the newcomers? Can we prove out if the skills of the new people what coming in Germany or in a city like Oberhausen, can we prove out if we can use this skill even to upgrade these old buildings and to give them a new use? So even in a shrinking city, let's say shrinking until the last year, Oberhausen was shrinking, and now with the refugees it's growing again. So there are new citizens with skills and with possibilities they coming in, and we, like a small NGO, was trying out to improve this on a local level if we are able to prove this with our capacity and with the help of the municipality of Oberhausen, to prove out, to give to have positive, to try out if positive examples are possible. So what we did, it is kind of to start to co-work, to co-think, to co-projecting the things, and to do it together with the newcomers, even when the language is wasn't there. So and everything was coming together, and that's what a kind of a dramaturgy, even what we had, which was trying, okay, we built a kitchen together with the refugees, but the opening, it wasn't really by our NIFOB project. So in the opening of NIFOB project, there was coming a few things together, what we call with, let's say, together. And we will invite you to see a short movie about what happens there by the last, by our NIFOB project under the title with, and then later we will go on in a deeper scale.
With International Forum and Opening of Refugees Kitchen, Kiev, Oberhausen.
Things that we would have thought were extreme 2 years ago, but in August 2015, on the border between Serbia and Hungary, one whole country did say, stop the world, we're getting off.
I believe that cultural organizations can become very important hubs for all of these agents to meet.
Also ich soll dafür sorgen, dass die Innenstadt nicht stirbt. Das war die Vorgabe.
We cannot continue like constantly saying we need investors, we need money, we have to follow everybody. The city has to steer its own development.
Weder Staat noch Wirtschaft allein sind in der Lage, Stadtentwicklung zu gestalten.
The municipality's basic mission is to serve the people.
Da war es für uns doch überraschend zu sehen, dass wir irgendwie ghostwriten mussten für die Stadt Oberhausen, um überhaupt an der EU-Kommission einen Antrag durchzubekommen.
Aber natürlich wissen, dass gerade auch jetzt zum Beispiel geflüchtete Menschen vielleicht auch andere Probleme haben, als ausgerechnet mit so einer Behörde in Kontakt zu treten.
Wir stellen aber fest, dass wir als Stiftung gar nicht allein entwerfen können, wie die Welt aussehen soll, die wir haben wollen.
Da versuchen wir Menschen dazu zu bringen, die Kraft, die sie haben, für Selbstorganisation einzusetzen, aber wir respektieren, dass nicht Selbstorganisation das Ziel eines Lebens ist, sondern ein gutes Leben.
Mit Kindern ins Gespräch zu kommen und zu fragen, wie stellt ihr euch den Stadtteil in der Zukunft vor?
Why are you doing it? What's your drive?
It has been really nice to hear that even in the official sides in the municipality and in the states, that there are persons who really believe that they believe and they are doing their best.
The integration, we just try to be interactive with them. We give the tools that they can use.
Und gleichzeitig möchte ich sagen, dass ich dieses Plädoyer für die Gemeinschaft auch sehr schön finde und gleichzeitig trotzdem auch daran glaube, dass der Gemeinsinn eine kritische Praxis braucht, die sozusagen fundiert wird von einem polyphonen Chor.
I hope this meeting or this event here in Oberhausen is the beginning for more events, because it's so important for the refugees and the persons who are working with the refugee support to meet each other, to know about the situation, and like we said, it's a general situation for everyone, so it's so important to communicate. So I hope it's the beginning for more events in the work area like this.
The times of normal work we here in the rural area, they are more or less over.
Lernt eure Nachbarn kennen, werdet aktive Mieter. Wohnen ist Menschenrecht. Wir bleiben alle und keine Rendite mit der Miete.
Ja, wir haben verschiedene Stationen aufgebaut zum T-Shirts machen.
Es war unser Wunsch und auch der Wunsch von den Kollegen von KITEV, dass wir hier draußen so ein bisschen was zum Selbermachen präsent haben, dass auch die Leute, die vorbeilaufen, die Leute, die auch vielleicht hier im Hochhaus wohnen, runterkommen können und sich selber ihr eigenes Logo auf ihre T-Shirts drucken können.
Dann haben wir noch ein Eck Fußball.
There comes the point someone is crying. What?
Flexibel Leute. Aber ist ein Traum für Kinder durch Deutschland.
Also for all those who don't know exactly where is Oberhausen, and I have to say we had in our in our project, in our NIFOB project, like the last presentation of thesis, which is a middle-sized city for Latvia. So Oberhausen is also a middle-sized city for Germany, but it's more than 10 times bigger than Cesis. So it's in the region of the Ruhr area, which is quite big polycentric agglomeration, and it's the biggest urban agglomeration in Germany, with population of over 5 million, and it had a very heavy industry history, which is now nearly all gone. Oberhausen itself has 210,000 inhabitants, and I wrote also here down for you somehow the unemployment and the average annual income, which is under 18,000 euro. The next one. And also here you can see, so of this 210,000 inhabitants, 26,000 are foreigners. So this is the urban fabric of Oberhausen, the inner city. So as we as association are located in the main train station, the Hauptbahnhof, and it's here over there, and quite close on.
Is this Oberhaus?
Yes, the building what you could have seen in the video.
So probably to this building we was trying to find in our neighborhood, or probably it is even typical for the rural cities. Mostly let's say the people who have money goes outside a bit of the city. They take their own houses and they go more in the green zone. And in the inner city is more, let's say there is more diverse, or people they are not so able. They stay more in the center. So the centers of the cities in the rural region facing even somehow we can attract the centers. And in our neighborhood we have this high-rise building, what takes part of a private real estate company. But even this project NIFOB helped us to keep in contact with this private real estate company, because it's our first European project, and we would call it, like in the local level, successful, because it helped us to step in this high-rise building, what was always stigmatized in the past, and to try out what we can do there what we can, like NGO, what we can prove out there.
There are some pictures here. So on this ground floor where we had also a part of our conference, it quickly it's changed into a workshop where also some furniture, some furniture has been done for some apartments, and yes, here some impressions again of our conference.
Yeah, what I would say, what we was trying there, it is, okay, there live refugees and social, not so, how we call it, yeah, let's say poor people. Poor people, they live there inside because they don't have other choice. If they had the choice, they won't live there inside. We self, by our own, we moving in, me and Agnieszka, in this high-rise building, to understand. And it is, let's say there are refugees and more poor people that live inside, and now we was trying, okay, how we can upgrade it, the common apartments, or to convince them, give us some apartments to prove out, okay, how we can attract them by our own with their skills, and that we to prove it out. So what we did in these conferences there inside, we did the NIFOB exposition in the building inside, and now when we was out, the other colleagues, these are an apartment inside, but we were working on together, and let's say in between the last months it becomes a small bar, temporarily bar, and in the next future we have this forum region, and there are a lot of eastern neighbors of Europe, like Azerbaijan, Ukraine, Armenia, colleagues come there, and we will work even about this high-rise building. Then we will build a free university there inside in the next future. So we're doing small steps to learn and to try out what can be worked. So, and still we make even some, probably there is some written on, like in Oberhausen needs you, or some other tools, but we will work on this case study. This is an outcome about NIFOB, new ideas for old building for us on the local level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been a great, yeah, it works better. You have been a great inspiration for all of us. Goodbye. And now I will kindly ask Martina to present Maribor.
Hvala, Urban. Jaz bi pa kar v slovenščini, če lahko, put your earrings on. Sem videla tudi, da so Nemci govorili v svojem domačem jeziku, pa bi morda v slovenščini imamo prevajalca, tako da. Ok, lep pozdrav še v mojem imenu. Sem zaposlena na mestni občini Maribor, Urad za kulturo in mladino. V bistvu projekt smo se priključili na povabilo NIFOB-a iz Ljubljane in spet nova zanimiva izkušnja, spet novi zanimivi ljudje, predvsem pa možnost, da smo zunanje ljudi pripeljali v naše lepo mesto in dobili drugačen pogled na dogajanje pri nas. Sama osebno sem včeraj na sprehodu po mestu tako kot je Jonas rekel, v radiju 50 metrov ugotovila, kaj vse imamo v bistvu, kako smo zanimivi tudi z tega vidika in še sama sem od včeraj naprej na Maribor gledam z drugačnimi očmi, tako da zanimiva izkušnja. Kaj je z mojo prezentacijo? Yes. Okay. Ne, na ključku je filmček. V glavnem, Mestna občina Maribor je organizator tega zadnjega dogodka, zato naše fotografije in film, kaj vse smo partnerjem in gostom pokazali, še prihaja. Zelo bom na kratko povedala. V glavnem, mi smo si zastavili en plan v Maribor na zaključno konferenco pripeljati partnerje in druge goste, tako da pozdravljam tu predstavnike občine Borovo, mislim, da je tudi predstavnik Zagrebška županija, tam ste, zdravo, tako da smo želeli še malo širiti to idejo, pozdravljam tudi vse druge, ki ste se odzvali našemu povabilu in bom žal nimam fotografij na kratko predstavila, kaj smo pokazali včeraj. V bistvu šli smo najprej na sprehod po naši živi Koroški, kjer smo zvedeli zgodbo, v bistvu Mestna občina Maribor je želela včeraj pokazati, kar se je dogajalo pred morda letom dni, če se prav spomnim, ko je bila iniciativa, da bi se ta naša zanimiva ulica zaprla, tako da smo imeli predstavnico društva Hiša, ki je to povedala. Potem smo pogledali privatnega investitorja v našo občino, ki v bistvu zdaj zaključuje prenovo druge zgradbe, je že kupil tudi tretjo, se pravi Žički dvorec, ki še čaka na prenovo. Potem, ko smo naredili krog okrog Žičkega dvorca, smo si pogledali Lutkovno gledališče Maribor, čeprav ne vem, kako ga nismo dali v plan, ampak priložnost je bila enkratna, da smo si pogledali ta obnovljen samostan, ki je zdaj stičišče lutk pri nas. Potem smo se iz Lutkovnega gledališča premaknili v GT22, v bistvu nova zanimiva zgodba, kjer je družina Pupin, mislim, da je samo ta priimek, v bistvu Pupis Osed, tako, dala možnost brezplačnega najema nevladnim organizacijam iz Maribora in če mene vprašate, dobiva zdaj veliko več nazaj, saj te nevladne organizacije vlagajo v hišo. Hiša ni prazna, v njej pa vre od idej in od življenja. Potem smo spili kavo v salonu uporabnih umetnosti, v bistvu bivši kazino, ki ima zdaj povsem drug namen. Ljudje, ki soustvarjajo program v salonu uporabnih umetnosti, so v bistvu prodorni, zdaj postalo spet neko stičišče javnih diskusij, tam dobrih koncertov, odpiranja novih družbenih tem. Po kavi smo naše goste in partnerje peljali na ogled Kalke, to se pravi, to je naš coworking center v samem centru mesta. Iniciativa, ki je prišla s strani spet nevladnih organizacij, predvsem CAP-a, ki se je ekstremno razvil v letu Evropske prestolnice kulture, je bila dobro sprejeta in s pomočjo Mestne občine Maribor in Zavoda za turizem Maribor Pohorje imamo sedaj en inovativen, simpatičen coworking center na mestu prostorov nekdanje farmacije, se pravi galenskih laboratorijev. Po kosilu smo se pa odpravili čez most nazaj v pekarno, kjer naši gosti tudi bivajo. Nastanili smo jih v hostlu Pekarna, ki smo ga obnovili s pomočjo evropskih sredstev v letu 2010. In v bistvu po tem uvodu, zakaj smo se mi kot Urad za kulturo in mladino odločili stopiti v ta projekt, je prav popoldanski del dogajanja, ki je potekal na samem mestu v Pekarni. Se pravi, če pozabimo dopoldne, mi kot predstavniki Urada za kulturo in mladino smo želeli predstaviti in potem tudi dobiti feedback na management model, se pravi model upravljanja v pekarni, ki je bil sprejet tudi strani mestnega sveta, mestne občine Maribor leta 2010 in po 20 letih okupacije pekarne, tako si pravijo tudi kolegi iz pekarne sami, je leta 2010 nastal ta model, s katerim je v prostore kulturnega centra Pekarna stopil javni zavod, Mladinski kulturni center Maribor. Zdaj direktorica je prekihala, tako da je, ja, Maja je tukaj, je bila tudi ves čas aktivno vključena v projekt. Tako da smo včeraj popoldne predstavili ta mišmaš v kulturnem centru Pekarna, ne samo z besedami, ampak tudi z ogledom vseh prostorov, kar mislim, da je bilo izjemno zanimivo, tako kot sem že prej rekla, tudi za nas, ki ponavadi samo priletimo, uredimo naše birokratske stvari in iz prostora odletimo. Tako da to je bil razlog, zakaj se je Urad za kulturo in mladino odločil pristopiti k temu projektu. Čisto na kratko, kaj se dogaja s pekarno. V glavnem pred letom 1991 je bil tam vojaški objekt, od leta 1991-2002 je bilo tam Ministrstvo za obrambo in potem leta 2002 je lastništvo pristalo na mestni občini Maribor. Se pravi, z urejanjem smo začeli nekje leta 2010, s evropskimi sredstvi smo obnovili samo eno zgradbo, to je hostel. Načrti so bili, da se v čim krajšem možnem času s pomočjo evropskih sredstev obnovijo vse zgradbe in da do takrat ostaja nekak status quo. V bistvu skozi ta leta smo ugotovili, da uporabniki sami niti ne želijo popolne zgradbe in kot je včeraj kolega Saša Rek povedal, so sami pripravili predlog, ki je obnovo KC Pekarna iz 7,5 milijona evrov znižal na 1,5 milijona evrov, kar bi zagotovilo osnovne varnostne pogoje, hkrati pa ohranilo dušo tega centra. Vedeli smo tudi, seveda, da tisti, ki zdaj bivajo v obnovljenih prostorih, še vedno nekako nostalgično obujajo spomine, kako je bilo pred prenovo. Tako da včasih tudi prenova ni tisto, kar si ljudje v starih zgradbah želijo, tako da je tudi to en zanimiv vidik, ki se nam je včeraj odprl. V glavnem zdaj imamo delovno skupino za spremljanje KC Pekarna, David, ti si v njej, ne, kot pravnik z Urada za kulturo in mladino, in pa lahko rečemo, da je med nami boljša komunikacija, to mislim med nami in zdaj bi pa jaz filmček zavrtela, da ne bom samo suhoparna. V glavnem, kaj smo mi dobili v sklopu NIFOB projekta? Ja, najmanj tale filmček.
Today.
je danes še boljše videlo, ne? Pa tudi glasba v bistvu izraža uporniški duh pekarne. Tako da dobili smo ta filmček, dobili smo postre vseh ključnih akterjev v pekarni, prinesli smo Refugee Kitchen iz Oberhausna in včeraj s pomočjo Srednje šole za gostinstvo in turizem tudi pripravili begunsko kuhinjo. Dobili smo novo zgodbo v mesto, nove partnerje. Včeraj je Jonas tako za medije kot našemu podžupanu povedal kot outsider stvari, ki jih morda mi vemo, pa jih sami ne znamo in ne smemo povedati in je zelo prijetno, če ti to pove nekdo od zunaj. Tako da, dejansko včasih take stvari izjemno pomagajo. Ok, ta prezentacija je bila narejena ob 11:15, ko ste me menda pogrešali na pivu. Tako da zaključek je samo zdaj zaključiti dogodek v Mariboru, ostati z vami v stiku in pa seveda prijavljati nove projekte. Hvala.
So thank you to everybody. Thank you, Urban, that you followed us through, and to everybody who presented these beautiful reports, projects. So a bit of technicalities. We will now we switched a little bit the schedule with a good reason, because some scents are already coming inside. I hope you can feel them. So now we invite you for some lunch, and kindly also invite you that you use this opportunity for mingling, for questions, one-on-one maybe debates, and also for future ideas on cooperation, and as Martina mentioned, maybe some new initiatives and new projects. And after lunch, probably you will see me walking around and again push you inside the room here. We have something very interesting waiting for us. It will be World Cafe, technology, it will be some workshop-ish, very nice thing that you will be working on in smaller groups. So enough of talking, let's go in.